Hey, folks, how is everybody this evening? Other than, I think, dead tired.
We're here.
Yeah.
Oh, the enthusiasm is thick in the air. We are all very, very tired for some reason this evening. Eraser and I both had crap sleep schedules. Jacob is apparently cooking in a slow cooker.
Yeah. It's about
Wayfair,
right.
how you doing? Uh-oh.
That good, huh?
Oh no, Wayfarer is muted. Unmute! Apparently he's so muted he can't even hear me.
No, I do hear you, but the timing of your reaction sounded like I wasn't really muted. You were just having me on because I was responding, and then I heard the response from Eraserhead and then you, so I thought you were kidding.
Oh, no, you were muted.
So it took me a little bit before I realized you were actually telling me the truth.
I always tell the truth. I mean, it might be a goat's truth, but it's a truth. Yeah, so, if there's a clunking sound and then everything goes crazy, it's just me falling asleep on the keyboard. Though I am probably, this is a terrible idea, but I am in fact drinking Red Bull at 7 o'clock at night. Because that'll help my sleep. And allow me to tell everyone in the chat, if you happen to be a Red Bull person, stay away from the new summer edition one. This one is god-awful.
Wow.
Oh, it is. I was telling Eraser earlier. It tastes like someone took the syrup that goes in a lime slushy, and that just didn't dilute it. It's just a can of straight syrup.
I've been noticing that things that do the different editions, the editions year round are getting a little bit worse. They should just perfect their main formula and leave it at that.
Well,
Because I've had some summer beers now that it's like, oh, no, no, don't do that.
You don't have to get that creative, guys. Roll it back a little.
Yeah.
The winter edition one was actually wonderful, but it was so wonderful nobody could keep it in stock. It sold out like everywhere. It was like a cinnamon one. And it tasted a little bit like, I don't know, rum and cider maybe. But yeah, it was wonderful. Once again, we're just putting off talking about this god-awful show. I want you to know I did homework tonight for this.
Good.
So that we didn't have to we can ramble, but we don't have to ramble quite as much.
Well, on the list of EVMux stopped doing things, it stopped recognizing OBS. Thank you. Thanks, EVMux.
What? It's still recognizing mine.
I don't know.
You mean the virtual studio?
Yeah.
What he means is there's no really cool flames behind him.
Right.
It's really like, how am I supposed to do this stream?
It's back.
But black it's not screen. Moving.
I mean, OBS also has had some issues lately, so
yeah. Everything does. Everything in streaming has issues. No matter how much you pay, you get issues.
Yeah.
So just do what you can afford and do what
you
works.
Can see the flames?
I know. I see flame, but they're not moving.
Yeah, they don't. They just kind of hang out there.
Oh, okay.
So.
But that's okay. Anyone that listens to us probably are not sitting there staring at your flames.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Pride Month. Jacob
that's why people come.
You know, he needs a flamer.
Yeah.
Wow, we gone there that early.
I just couldn't resist. Okay, all right, chat. Who's in the chat today? Legatus, always. I can't tell if you're saying that you were number one in the chat or if you're saying that it was number one. I think I heard this number one. That's a good compliment. Rio, welcome. Kind of miss you. I don't think you're
Sup,
here
Rio?
often these days. Yes, Eraser, thank you very much. Just a reminder, because Eraser remembers and I never remember until the end of the show. I do have Super Whatever's open, and I do have coffee, and I have thousands of dollars in medical bills. So, and a dog who desperately needs to go to the vet. So, an electric bill that needs to be paying, and a wardrobe that's falling apart. So, yeah, anyone who wants to throw a couple bucks my way, I would be incredibly grateful. You have no idea how far a little bit goes these days.
Yeah.
Matt, welcome. Matt is one of our longest running channel members. Matt, I think you started coming to the channel for video game streams. At some point this week, I'm gonna do another like super long Diablo stream. Because A, I need a break, and B, I want to thank everybody for having helped out, because I've had a few people throw a couple bucks my way, and again, really appreciated. Hanayama-san is here! We have also missed Hanayama-san a lot lately. And I assume everyone else is is either lurking or in Jack's bouncy ball game thing still. I can't remember what that's called.
Yeah, I'm
Isn't it,
completely lost.
Isn't it just called Chat
I
Battle?
don't know.
Is it called Chat Battle? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's that simple.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to tell you, as far as that simple goes, I am definitely that this evening. Simple is about where I'm at. Yeah, space. It's really big, which is why they never ever go anywhere in this show.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I did math. It's not math, but let's see. Is there a way for me to full screen this? There must be a way for me to full screen this. It has been far too long. Oh, that doesn't work. Okay. Display settings. It has been far too long since I used PowerPoint for anything. But this required a PowerPoint. Darn it. Because I'm a geek. I have no idea how to tell which of these is the correct one. Oh,
There
good
it
heavens.
is.
All right. So, and I have notes. So we don't know where Gideon comes from. We just know he was like away. And then he was headed for Earth. And then for some reason going to Earth gets turned into going to Mars. So, all right. This is being difficult. There we go. So there's our starting point. Can everybody see the star?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Somebody's going to have to tell me if chat can see it, because it's now filling up like 6 screens here, and it doesn't, like, one of them is not the chat. All right. So we start at Mars. We then go, episode 2 is where we have the techno mage dude, Regula. So that brings us over to here. I was kind of impressed because I really thought maybe they had just made up all of these places and not paid attention to the fact that Babylon 5 had a map already. But no, this planet does exist. This system does exist on the pre-existing Babylon 5 star map, which existed before Crusade did. So, but they didn't start very far away from home, is kind of my point.
No.
Um,
And they're not going into unknown space. They're going into known space.
Right, but I mean, if you're in known space and headed for unknown space, you do have to pass through more known space. So so far as travel goes, I was willing to give them some slack here. Third episode takes place in hyperspace. There's no map of hyperspace, so we wouldn't expect to see that. The fourth episode is the one with the forgiveness thing. Forgiveness demon. They never say anything about where that planet is, from what I could tell. So you can't track that one either. So the fifth episode is the next one that you can actually put a definite marker on, and that is Theta 49. I don't think there is specifically a Theta 49, but there is a Sector 49, so that puts us there. And then in the sixth episode, halfway through the season, we go back to Mars. So this is where we're at halfway through the season, with one stop off in hyperspace. And I really can't imagine that the one forgiveness monster is, way out on the outskirts, and then they turned around and came back again. So, yeah, so there's the halfway point. What do we think so far?
Well, I guess their mission, while it does in a way imply that you want to explore outside of the areas because you're obviously looking for a cure that hasn't been found yet, unless it's being hidden behind some walls of bureaucracy or secrecy on the part of some planets and their governments. I mean, you would just expect that it's got to be outside of known territory. So their mission, in a way, kind of requires them to at least get out pretty soon, after a few episodes, maybe get out there. And they just don't do it, So, and I think it could have been a lot more fun if they get away from known areas.
Well, and I think I mentioned this last week. One of my major problems with the whole plot is that the basis for the show is the reason they need this ship and this captain and this crew is that they're the only ones that can travel long distances at high speeds. Yes, there were some other Explorer class vessels in Babylon 5 that, went out on the rim, but they were very slow moving. Whereas the whole point is that the Excalibur can kind of zip back and forth quite quickly. I never quite figured out, honestly, why the Explorer class vessels, considering they could make their own jump point. I suppose you have to know where you are in hyperspace to not get lost. So I guess that would slow them down a lot. I wonder if you can... This is an interesting point. You must have to fly out there and then jump back, because there's no way that you could jump to a spot you didn't know.
Well, for me, they try to cover this in Call to Arms by saying it was partially based on Vorlon technology. But the only thing I saw about that, which the Minbari also shared, was that this ship doesn't need the rotating sections. It has gravity. So
Right.
that's something the Minbari had, and we presume that the Vorlons had too. Although the Vorlons don't really need that. They just float. But
Well, they also did have the really big, like the Vorlon guns worked the same way.
Okay, yeah, the big wave motion gun that you have to wait a minute afterwards to do
Well,
anything.
except the Vorlons didn't because they had organic technology.
Yeah.
And the humans don't have organic technology, so they have to fake it.
Yeah, yeah, it's just one of those things that I think it was a little too obvious, trying too hard to say, okay, you have this really powerful weapon, but here's the, what do you call it? The cost to it. You have a minute where you're vulnerable afterwards in every
I,
way possible.
I mean, that kind of makes sense, honestly, because it's like, I don't know, it's like handing a 50 caliber gun to a halfling.
Mm.
You know, it's not really
Or maybe
designed
they
to do
could
it.
use that endless gem they have to put a power source for the gun.
Oh, trust me, I was going to get to that.
No, I don't mind that there is some sort of cost to it, but it was just, I thought that maybe could have been a little bit more interesting rather than something so blatantly obvious where, okay, later in this episode, they're going to have to use this gun and wait a minute and it's going to be stressful. You already predict what's going to happen based
Well,
on that rule.
the other thing, though, is that if you have this ship and it's the only one of its kind, and there were originally only 3, and you know that it's really critical that they go on this mission, why would you put the gun on it in the first place? Why not put a whole bunch of, like, the same guns that actually can run on that without having to shut down for a minute? Like, it's totally
Because it
crazy that
adds
they
tension
from plot. I
for plot.
understand.
Yeah.
I understand from a an audience perspective, build tension, but from an immersion realism point of view, it really is like handing a 50 cal to a halfling. You just wouldn't do it because the halfling is going to be much more productive with something that they can use repeatedly their size that doesn't give them this enormous gap of danger at a very important point in time.
I mean, now I kind of want to see a halfling with a 50 cal.
Yeah.
That's all I could think about.
I'm sure GPT can do it for you.
Fair enough. Do you guys think one of the problems with the locations they go to and the fact that there's not a lot of ground being covered, I feel like Babylon 5 itself is kind of the issue when it comes to that, because we keep having to loop back around to end up at B5 for Gideon to try to get laid, to then set out again, to then have to come back again a couple episodes later to save Lockley. I
Except
feel like
they only go to Babylon 5 once. They meet her at Mars one other time. They actually are at Mars more frequently than anything else.
Mm.
I suspect
but
part of it is they were trying to reuse sets to save money. But I will tell you right now, without even going through the rest of the slides, they never even make it as far as Mimbar, where we spent a huge amount of time on Babylon 5.
yeah, but
They definitely don't make it out to Narn. They don't make it out to the Centauri Republic is way out there compared to where they go. And they're looking for a cure to a disease, and they don't go to Vorlon, which is now empty.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, yeah, and we mentioned Epsilon 3 last week. Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the problems, though, is that it almost doesn't matter where we go because they don't bother to make any of the locations interesting.
Mm.
One of the things I was thinking about going into this was the Babylon 5 episode Infection. I believe it's season 1, episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, like going into Crusade, I thought it was going to be a lot like that episode, just with more of a boots on the ground feel. Because in that episode, Franklin's old mentor brings this ancient piece of technology that he
Mm-hmm.
found on a planet. It ends up being a weapon, and it's this monster of the week almost type episode that ends up becoming something a bit greater because there's decent writing. You
Yeah.
have these messages about these ideas of racial purity and how it led to this
Mm.
civilization's downfall. I was expecting that for a lot of these Crusade episodes because we never stepped foot on Akara 7, but I could tell you a lot just based on that one episode. I can't really tell you anything about the planets we land on in this show, and I feel like it's such a missed opportunity for world building and lore because obviously not every planet is going to give us what we need. It's not going to give us the cure, it's going to be a bust. But at the very least, you would hope that we'd be able to learn something about the planet or the ancient civilization that once lived there. We
Yeah.
barely ever get anything like that, and it's so sad.
Well, the other thing is that so the planet that is has also been infected by the Drak plague. It apparently um, affects all forms of life. So it makes sense that that place is totally barren
Right.
because every time something starts to grow back, the nanobots are still there. It doesn't make sense. I mean, I guess you could even say the Technomage episode where he releases nanobots might be similar, except that appears to only affect people. You get the occasional tree that shows up in that episode. Um, but then there's the one where there was just a war. Why is there no life on that except for sand and buildings? I mean, life exists in many, many places, especially, I mean, unless you've got a biodome that kept it, an alien race going. Um, there should be bacteria, there should be small animals, there should be small plants, even if you're not talking like full-fledged life. And yet they're not. They're all just stone and deserts. Um, and it just didn't make any sense that, it's sort of like Star Wars has become like everything is either a desert planet or a ice planet.
Or salt.
Oh no.
I was trying to forget that one existed. Um, it's like everything in this is just one type of planet, and it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I do think to an extent that was probably a budgeting thing with them kind of being limited to what they had, but like I was saying, even if the sets are cheap and look similar, through the writing and what we discover about these planets, make them, you know, have some type of personality or like distinguishable culture that was lost, and they just don't do that, and it's really sad, and it's weird because in one of the episodes, Darina has like this whole scene where she's lamenting the idea of lost civilizations and the cultures that were lost, but we don't really see the show you know carry carry that. Like, she's saying it, but we don't see the show practice it, and it's very weird.
Um, Considering how close we stay to, proverbial home, I don't understand. I mean, again, I get budgeting issues, but we never saw Vorlon, and I do have to say that while plot-wise it doesn't make any sense for them not to go to Vorlon, I think the Vorlons would lose some of their mystery if we just kind of got to see what their planet looked like. So you could easily have a one-off, like with the Great Machine. Oh, they probably put, booby traps in place. We should stay away from there. But like, no trips to Mimbar at all. The Narn had shadow allies that lived on their planet for 100 years. We're not going to go check those runes out.
Yeah.
And like, you have the scenery for that already. So yes, I get the budgeting thing, but they could have used stuff they already had, and they just didn't. In case you're interested, episode 6, they go back to Mars.
God, is that the Joan of Arc episode?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I
the
did this.
convention.
I did this backwards because this was the going back to Mars, and then this is them going to Babylon 5. I had to change colors because they were so staying in this triangle all the time that it got to the point where you couldn't really see what I was doing. The 8th episode, they never tell you where they are, but they picked up Earthworkers, and they were just between Babylon 5 and Mars, so it's real hard to believe that they really went anywhere. 9th episode was supposed to be the first one, and man, does it have a very different feel. Like, I was kind of looking through the beginning, trying to see if they gave a name of the planet, and they don't. And I know we talked about it a little bit before about how Gideon is, wearing a leather jacket and riding a, whatever they call it, speeder or whatever. But there's not even really a proper intro. There's just like a, don't fuck this up. And then, boom, we're exploring a planet. No details, no nothing. No information about anybody. I don't know if they clipped all that off because they were moving it. But once again, it's just a dead, dry, sandy planet. But we don't know where it is. I forget, what was the 10th episode? I had notes, and then I apparently forgot to take notes as to when that one was.
Was that the alien who really liked music? Was that episode?
No, it's that god-awful... it's the one I won't watch.
Oh, it's X-Files? Alien X-Files?
Oh, Alien X-Files.
Yeah, it's the X-Files ripoff.
Oh, I thought that was 12.
No, 12 is... All right, well, now maybe I've got it wrong.
I put a little something in the chat there.
I thought it was the second to last one was the X-Files. Which, oh my goodness, yeah. That was rough. I think of all of them, that was probably the worst.
Jacob, that is great. Everyone needs to go look at Jacob's halfling with a 50 cal.
I could see why that would be a problem.
Yeah, I did miss an episode in here. Pardon me. I think I may have just blocked that one out in self-defense, even just going through these.
It's completely understandable.
So 10 is the memory of war, and I have already forgotten which one that is, too. Is that the one where they discover the technomage and the nanobots? Because that one also did not have any details as to where it took place. Yep, that's the one. That's the one with the that's the one with the technomage leftovers. Hey, did anybody ever figure out why he was angry that the technomages were like, yeah, you shouldn't go down there?
Oh, I think he says that basically they knew that another technomage had done it, and instead of, dealing with him or correcting the issue, they just, floated this ghost story around for people to stay away. So he felt it was just them kind of ignoring the problem instead of taking responsibility for the fact that it was one of their own who had done it.
You mean the same people that abandoned an entire galaxy and cast him out for having too much to do with other people?
Listen, man, his anger is pretty selective, okay? I didn't write the character. I didn't act the character.
Why did he think they were going to do anything else?
They just pissed off from the galaxy. They threw you out for helping the human race, but gasp. I can't believe they'd do this.
And don't go down there. Okay, that's good. We won't have an episode. Good.
I mean, we might have been better off in that case.
Yeah.
Well, no, because then we wouldn't have had the masks that gave them limited time away from the plague. And that really was kind of an interesting idea. I kind of wish they'd done that earlier and done more with it. Episode 11, The Needs of Earth, is the one. It's the slave planet that they rescue the guy from. So I had to do some deep digging on this one because they do specifically mention that it is Praxis 9. Praxis 9 does not exist on this map. It's not unknown space because it has a name. So I did some digging, and it is supposed to be a moon around a gas giant that is very far off all of the hyperspace beacons. And basically, a hive of scum and villainy. Which probably explains why they have slavers, hanging out there. But it seems kind of strange. What was also interesting is the fact that Darina's blown up world that they make such a big deal of was not off the beaten path and also does not exist on this map. So they literally just made her planet up. All these dots they could have played with. And they just made up a name and thought that the weaponized autism that exists on the internet wouldn't notice that.
Right.
Hey, that doesn't exist here. The only thing they say is that it is an area that was influenced by the Vorlons, which means nothing.
What?
That's why the planet was blown up.
Yeah.
Was because it was considered too influenced by the Vorlons, which is also weird because when she finds the little tribe of her people living in caves, I thought, well, they were crashed people and they didn't really have any technology and they didn't have anything to work on, so this is just kind of where they're hanging out. No, it turns out that if you look up her entire race, they're just cavemen. Like, being sold into slavery and then escaping and becoming a thief is probably the only, like, reason she got to ever experience civilized society. Which is probably also why they sell their children into slavery. And suddenly I feel much less bad for Darina's people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, episode from 12, Visitors from Down the Street. There is a location on this. Oh, yeah, this one was weird. So the location on this is right next to Babylon 5. Because there were several episodes missing, I just skipped doing lines. But yeah, so they're just back to being neighbors with Babylon 5 again. And then for the final episode, we're back to Earth again. So this entire map.
We looked really hard.
This is where we're staying. We got 5 years to find a cure. We were supposed to find it within the first year. And this is where we looked.
This feels like the friend that loses his keys, but he only looks in like one drawer and refuses to look anywhere else. And he's like, I swear I looked. It's like, did you check the rest of the house? No?
Hey, Daveyverse.
Did you
Daveyverse has been a member
check
for
the
4
new
months.
part of the house that's just been built? No.
The one that's not listed on the blueprints anywhere?
Hey, we have a new person in chat. Kronos, from watching Doctor Who. I always thought alien planets looked like quarries. I mean, honestly,
Oh, that's
apparently Crusade agrees with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I could totally buy that, there are a lot of uninhabitable planets in the universe and people probably put outposts and stuff. But some of those cities were not outposts. They were like the center of civilizations. Why are they all deserts? Like, seriously, actual deserts have more life than that. So we've never left Earth Alliance space except to go to Babylon 5, which is, sort of neutral space. They do have one argument about whether or not they can go into Brakiri space. And they say, well, you're going to have to talk about it with those people, and then the people attempt to kill them. So I guess we can theorize that they do go to Brakiri space in between episodes. But what a weird way to do it. Hey, we're going to go outside this little triangle, but off screen. Because Brakiri space is like way up here in the gray next to the, to the left of the Narn. I mean, they still wouldn't have left known space, but, at least it'd be closer.
Right.
Yeah.
Just such a weird.
No, it is weird. I don't know if in this discussion of setting, we're also going to be talking about sets.
Oh yes, definitely. We're talking about like everything having to do with location.
Okay.
I just wanted to.
No, it was appropriate. I was just wondering if you wanted me to hold off on it or not, but I was thinking of talking about the Excalibur itself as a
yes,
set.
have at. I have said my piece that covers all of my homework.
Okay. Well, it was a great job. Okay. I mean, you're preaching to the choir here, so I guess that's why we were, just fine. But yeah, now going back to Call to Arms and then throughout the whole series, I mean, over time, I wasn't really so bothered with the ship itself. I mean, things looked good, but it's hard when you're on a bridge or viewing people on a bridge and you're not sure where things are located. I don't know. I think it's something that I guess from sci-fi we just have some sort of natural need to kind of have a layout of your control center. And even if we don't know what everything does, it's just like certain areas seem to be, like that's Spock's station over there. That's where he does the sciencey stuff. And then we have navigation here, you know, and so forth. And even in CNC on Babylon 5, I mean, you had that control station up toward the front, where the blast doors close. You figured, pretty much all main things, defense and offense, are located there. And then toward the back, you do have the Photoshop workstation where you can make Sheridan into a Centauri. So you kind of have a layout of the land, but in the Excalibur, I mean, it's just almost like background scenery to me, the whole thing. And
That's a good point. Everybody just kind of walks around. Nobody's ever sitting and doing a job.
yeah, it's just there, and it just felt like background to me, even though it looked nice. I didn't know where anything was. And Matheson, I believe, he typically was on headset the whole time, so maybe that's how he got his work done. I don't know. But yeah, I think it gives you a little more interest in the ship or the station or wherever they're at if you have a feeling of location and what the purpose of that location is and what the person there is doing. And so you have, I don't know, I guess it blames Star Trek, but that's that's where
No,
we
that
get it from, I guess.
no, that actually makes sense. Because you've got to have that whole sense of background and immersion.
Hmm.
The other thing is that even the areas that I didn't know exactly what they did in Babylon 5, there were still very familiar faces at that station regularly. I could not tell you one familiar face that I remember seeing on the bridge crew at all, except Matheson. Maybe I'm the only one because I can't visualize and I suck, but
Mm. No, I
but
mean,
like
I was missing
but
it
it's
too.
it's like it's the reason I recognized that Morden had been on in a different role before, because there are very specific people at very specific seats.
Hmm.
The lieutenant is always, standing up, paying attention to who's coming through jump gates, and um, there's always, the young lady that's down in the pit there.
Yep.
I don't know her name. I don't think we ever know her name, but I recognize when she shows up on screen, I recognize her.
Hmm.
Hello to Mr. Hunter. Thank you for joining us. Um, I don't know what she does. I don't know what her name is, but she gives a sense of permanence to that spot in that part of the station. And I think that's really important. I think that was a really good call, yeah.
Mm.
Oh, I have just realized that Davyverse gave us his 4-month membership message. And it is, of course, boobs. Tatas.
Well, sweetie.
Davyverse, thank you very much for your support. Uh, and there's this gut. If I were less tired, there would definitely be a joke there about him supporting the channel and Tatas. Does that
Go
make
tip
Davyverse?
4.
Is Davyverse the bra of the channel? Is that the
I guess
Yes.
so.
providing support?
He got the Dragon Balls and wished that he was the most comfortable bra in existence.
So that
Well,
all boobs would go there.
Yes.
That's a wise wish.
Well, having Dragon Balls is better than having your balls drag.
True.
You don't want them
Also,
dragging around behind you.
um, there was a channel recently, and I'm totally getting sidetracked because I'm very tired. There was a channel about a month ago, I think, that put out. Actually, I remember this in part because I sent it to Tavyverse. And I think I sent it to you too, didn't I, Racer? It's a song about you're getting old when you shit on your balls.
Oh,
Because boobs aren't the only thing going south.
yeah.
It's a very funny song, and the first time I ever heard it, I was not expecting it at all. It was just like it was on autoplay, and I was driving, and I almost put my truck in a ditch. It's like that just came out of left field. But yeah, there's Babylon 5. One of the excuses was, well, Babylon 5 needed less sets. Whereas, we're exploring all these different worlds. But I feel like we saw more of Babylon 5 and we saw more other worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess also on the Excalibur, I mean, that episode where they dealt with, oh man, I don't remember the name. Nehru's actor who was doing the Minister of Peace thing again, but this time he brought a fashion consultant with him. That episode, that's where we got a good look of the ship, but most of it was out of the bridge. But you got to see the lay of the land, and I mean, it looks good as background, but it still felt background to me.
See, I don't even really think it looks good. I don't think anything about the Excalibur looks necessarily great. I think the overall
roughly
ship design.
phallic shape.
Yeah, dude, it like looks like a dick. Sorry, there's no other way to say it. And the inside, the interior of the ship is very gray, dull, boring. Like nothing about it really catches your eye. Like you were saying, you don't really have a sense of where everything is. And then I think part of that has to do with the lighting. We'll get into it next week. But
and by the way, I've been looking. There are no blueprints of the Excalibur. They never even put one together.
Sweet.
Yeah, the reason for the phallic shape is they were trying to make it look like a mock-up between an Earth Explorer and a Vorlon ship. They were trying to get that Vorlon look, and nobody paid attention to what it was actually going to look like. Just real quick, I want to give a shout out to DJ Play Nice. Hello, I'm glad you were able to stop in for a little bit.
DJ.
Hope you managed to make it back later.
Now, see, the problem is that, like, that's all well and good, but that sounds like an excuse I would make if I wanted to have my ship look like a penis in my show. I'm sorry, that just sounds like bullshit. Like, there's no way you don't look at that and go, wow.
I mean, Jeff Bezos did it.
Yep. Dr. Evil.
But, really quickly, one of the things that I think makes Babylon 5 pop is the lighting. I think Babylon 5 uses lighting really well, and Crusade just doesn't, man. Everything is lit the same. There's no sense of like diegetic lighting or light source, where Babylon 5 does that a lot, and it just makes the entire ship look gray and pale and just boring. I really don't think it looks good at all. They have that entire episode where they're talking about how, they need to restyle and get new uniforms. Dude, you need a new inside of your ship. It looks like a prison cell.
Spoiler warning for next week, guys.
A ton of wasted space in there, too.
Oh, did that gym drive anyone else crazy?
Yes.
You have the really, really
Why is it
tiny
so
area.
big?
Well, except it's
Why?
not. There's like this tiny area that has all of these workout machines, and then there's a basketball court that is totally useless because it's an L shape.
It's the new corner style, less fast breaks.
Like there's like it's designed to look like a basketball court, but actually only be practical enough so that the boss can shoot hoops.
Mm-hmm. And someone else can around the corner.
Well, and if he ever misses badly enough, that ball's going like straight into somebody's face while they're lifting weights.
Oh man, they really thought about this one, didn't they?
Well, I mean,
That
yeah,
reminds
I
me of something.
guess. I mean, to me, it kind of what I said was it looks good. It looks good as a background. Like the internals looked all right, although you got the feeling that more than a bridge, you're in a data center. It's just a space where they keep technological stuff, and you don't really have any idea of what a location is, what it does, and what they do there specifically. So, yeah, it's hard to get into the ship when you don't give people that.
Yeah, so there were two episodes that Veer directed, and like I was looking at reviews, and one of them actually it was like the only one that this reviewer complimented, and they said I have to give him credit. It's the first time I've ever seen anything of the ship. Like most of the episodes take place on this ship, and it's the first time you have people walking around. And yes, it's a lot of hallways, but at least I had a better understanding of where things were.
Mm.
Yeah,
Um,
I know we're doing like visuals and stuff like that next week. So I want to get into that then, but I do feel the same way. I feel like the Stephen First episodes are the best directed in the show by far.
What episodes are those?
I think the last one, at least the last one that was broadcast, was one of
yeah.
them.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it had the best idea. Like I think it was the firmest basis, except that I still don't understand why they'd ever put Franklin down on Earth. I mean, you can't afford to have the guy get sick if he's
Mm.
leading your charge.
Yeah.
But wasn't he on Earth when it happened, and that's why he
No, he's on
is
the
like,
he's on the ship while they're fighting the whole thing. Um, I'm
oh,
positive he.
so
Sorry,
he
go ahead.
got sick, intentionally,
He went to Earth to lead because he had more experience with alien viruses than anyone like
right?
at all.
Hmm.
Um, and apparently they decided he couldn't, I don't know, lead the charge in research from space, so he's on Earth.
Mm. Oh, so wow, that's
And
all
now,
before the episode. That's backstory, and it's like that's a weird route to take. I thought if they wanted him to be infected, they should have just he was on Earth at the time and it happened would be the better explanation.
I mean, you could even again, so many of these problems could be like solved with like a throwaway line. And this one took me a while, but I realized that Franklin is so controlling and so anal that he might have insisted on going to Earth, and they said, no, 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 we can send you results as we get them. And he said, no, I want to make sure you're running these tests right. I don't trust anybody to do it except myself. Like, that is totally a Franklin thing to say.
Yeah.
But again, they didn't do it, and we shouldn't have to headcanon it.
Well, but I will say about that episode is at least we got a sense, since we're talking about settings, we got a sense, a better sense now of what the med lab had. and what it is, and we got to see Chambers actually in it. You know,
It was really weird though. The whole idea, well, okay, one of the ideas behind the Excalibur was that it was supposed to be primarily a science vessel and that it was set up to do the kind of research and take samples and do some of the testing and then those results could get sent to
which
Earth.
is all the more reason it should have been Franklin as the doctor of the ship.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But didn't that strike you as like the tiniest medbay / research lab ever? Like it's really small.
yeah, I guess.
We have to like set up 2 little booths, which very conveniently we have so that they can, run air from one to the other or something.
Yeah, if they didn't have that L-shaped basketball court, they could have a bigger hospital.
Um,
Mm.
and you're going to have a very limited crew. If something happens, if you're at a fight and a bunch of your crew are injured, it's not like you can just go back to Earth for reinforcements. Like you need to be able to patch them up. Appearances and other deceits is the other one that Stephen first did, and that's the one that they made the comment about seeing more of the ship. Like we get to see the cafeteria because Max is in it. That's the one where you have the alien that travels by touch.
Yeah.
So
and
they
that's
do.
the one where they have the interior decorator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The queer eye for the straight ship.
Yeah, honestly, I would have enjoyed that episode had it not been for that plot. It's a little bit like the ISN things. I always liked the stories there, but I always hated the formatting. And that's how I feel about appearances and other deceits. I love the alien story and the fact that you get to see Max be really vulnerable and this whole ethical discussion about if you is it right to save the ship by using the body of someone who's a vegetable. How would they feel about that? Like I thought those were all really interesting conversations. And then they're totally thrown by the fact that we have to have comic relief with the fashion designer.
Yeah. And interior decorator. Well,
I think he does both. The other guy's just toting him around.
yeah.
And then I was more upset when I realized that was the same actor who played one of my favorite character arcs from Babylon 5. I was like, why?
Well, I think he was the same character, like not Nehruin, but the same character, because he did make a comment I'm about still being there. So he was the same character who was the minister of peace that arrived with the guy that
he was.
Wanted to broker the what do you call it, non-aggression treaty with the Centauri. Remember, he arrived and it was something he wanted to do for his granddaughter. And he brokered that peace with the non-aggression treaty with the Centauri.
What?
But along
No,
with him,
that was a much older guy.
yeah.
Much
But with him was this actor who played Nehruin. He was actually from the Ministry of Peace. I don't know if he was the minister, but he was in that episode, and he came with that other guy. But I think it's the same character because he remarks in this Crusade episode that he was still there, something like that. And so I think it was meant to be the same guy, even though he only played one instance as that role before, so it didn't really matter. But.
He mentions that he's very good at surviving regime changes. I think that's what you're referencing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's almost like broadcasting. Hey, this is the same character as that one episode before. But in any case, I just thought that was interesting.
My keyboard is not working all of a
I
sudden.
like when they
That
tie
actor
things in. It's good.
plays one of my favorite Minbari.
Oh yeah, the growth arc of Nehruin was very important.
Carry on, folks. I'm having technical difficulties.
Uh,
No.
They're on my end, not EV Muck's.
Uh-oh.
See, you shouldn't say stuff like that.
Ruh-roh.
So we can just keep blaming EV Mux.
But not for a crime it didn't commit. But in any case, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that was one of the better episodes because it actually, I don't know, I felt pulled into it a little bit more because of the dilemma they were facing. And of course, yeah, the moral issues involved and the way to get out of the situation and deal with that alien. And it also, the way they set it up with that alien's ability to go from body to body just through touch. And you never knew who's infected it, or, I mean, who has the alien or anything like that. So it was a little bit more of a engaging episode. It made me kind of interested. And then, yeah, you get to see more of the ship and their suits, even though I guess the suits weren't terribly different or interesting. But
Well, let me ask you guys, because Babylon 5 is one of the settings and locations. When I'm watching the show and we go to Babylon 5, it doesn't really feel like a reward or like a cool moment. You know, it's not like this cool fan service, like, oh shit, we're back. It just feels like, oh god, how are we gonna rope Babylon 5 into this? And
Yeah.
do you guys think that if the Babylon 5 episodes and the stuff with Lockley was pushed later into the season, it would have felt like more of a reward? Like, you know, we've been searching and hitting different planets for episodes and episodes and, you know, months, you would assume, in the show. So if, say, later in the season, if Gideon for whatever reason had to go to B5, do you think maybe if it was set up like that, actually going to Babylon 5 would have felt like more of a reward for the audience? Or because, like I said, when I watched I didn't feel happy to be there. It wasn't cool. It wasn't a reward. It was just like, oh no.
Well,
yeah, it felt like they
Garibaldi
felt
wasn't
they
there.
had to do it.
Ivanova wasn't there.
Yeah.
Nobody from the original crew was there on the ship. So it's, I don't know.
The only one that was there was Lockley, and I never liked Lockley to start with, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Ramon. Welcome. I mean, Lockley was there as drama and relationships for people. Even in season 5, like, half of it was the mystery of, like, who is she and why did Sheridan pick her?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah.
the drama that ensued from that. And the entire thing really was that she was just, we have Ivanova at home.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, oops, we can't get Ivanova. I mean, they had an entire, like, yeah. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean-
Maybe she, like, left faster than I realized she did. But it feels like, you know, they had some time between seasons to figure something out other than discount Ivanova.
Yeah, I think one other thing is, even I knew they were back on Babylon 5. It something wasn't right. It didn't feel like they were really there. It seemed a little bit different. But that's another thing that you could see in Call to Arms, that they were really trying to do some things aesthetically different. And I think it was, I don't know what the word for it is, but you know, the layout of the ship and how it kind of looks, even as background, was just a different aesthetic than how CNC looked on Babylon 5. Or even some of the other places like MedLab, CNC, all this fit together thematically. It felt like you knew the station whenever you saw a scene there, even if it was someone's quarters or whatever. The walls had a certain consistency with them, that you always knew where you were. You were on the station because you could just see those walls and you recognize it. And it could be anywhere on station. You knew that. And it just had a certain aesthetic to it. Whereas in Crusade, even Excalibur, the different locations on the ship just look so different from each other that it's like hard to tell where you're at. Even though you pretty much know, it wasn't thematically designed. And there's somehow, when you go back to Babylon 5 on Crusade, it looked different to me there. I don't know. Maybe they were using the same set even, but somehow it just seemed different to me.
So, my theory is one of the things that grabbed me about Babylon 5, I had to watch it a number of times before I realized, but they add in a bunch of little tiny details that make it feel lived in. For instance, there's one point where Sheridan and Garibaldi, I think, are talking while they're in the bathroom. And they come out and they're continuing their conversation and they hold their hands under this light, which is very obviously them washing their hands.
Mm-hmm.
And then they move out into the hallway. And that is like such a normal thing to do in a place where you're at all the time. It's two guys talking at the office. It's a little bit of sci-fi because you don't really wash your hands in the same way. And there were dozens of those little tiny things all the time. They felt like people who belonged there. They felt like people who lived there. They never looked like they were looking for something that they should know where it was. Whereas when you come back on Crusade, like Gideon isn't from there. But Lockley's been there long enough at that point that she should have the same kind of air, and she doesn't.
Right.
The whole scene with her and the vendor, where she says, I want to get my usual.
Oh, yeah.
That never should have happened, because if she was down there that often and everybody recognized her, they wouldn't be pretending not to recognize her because they somehow knew she had a bet going.
Yeah.
Well, you have to imagine she called down like 30 minutes before and was like, hey, you guys do not know me.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, they probably don't have the same kind of humor, but like the guy in that stand so obviously, says her name just because it fits the dialogue. Well, it doesn't even fit the dialogue. It just makes it sound stilted and awkward. But yeah, it doesn't. It feels like a stage. It doesn't feel like they're home.
Right. It's like they're just visiting. Even the people that live there.
I mean, what really made it stand out is that, like, if Sheridan or Sinclair went to visit Kosh, all of a sudden there was this sense that they were kind of out of their depth. Like, they didn't, grab the gas mask without looking first, because it wasn't an area they went a lot. They always had to look to see where it was. There was always a sense of unease, not just about being around the Vorlon, but like being in that area.
Yeah. Completely different atmosphere and everything.
Yeah, this was not their home. They are visitors. They are intruders.
Yeah.
And Lockley feels that way all the time, no matter what part of the ship she's on. I also feel like they left out some of the coolest parts of Babylon 5. I mean, like, we've seen the restaurant, we've seen the Zocalo. If she and
The
Gideon are like going out on dates, why are we never visiting those places?
right. Why didn't they visit the arboretum or whatever?
The
That
Fresh
was like
Air
a main.
Cafe, or whatever it was
That
called.
was like a main thing you saw just about every episode of Babylon 5. I mean, that would be like a memorable thing that people remember seeing.
The other thing I just realized is I understand Babylon 5 is kind of a centralized place and people are coming and going all the time. But if you're on an explorer ship that is out 5 or 10 years at a time, if you look at what they had for the crew to eat on Babylon 5, even just when you're looking at their mess hall versus the cafeteria, I can't even call it a mess hall, the cafeteria that they have on Excalibur, that is not set up like a ship trying to make people comfortable because they're going to be away from home for 5 or 10 years.
No.
And again, Babylon 5 probably had a lot because you're going to have diplomats and everything else coming through. But even the mess hall for the crew had more care put into it than plastic chairs and hard tables and crappy food, except apparently for some salty nuts or something.
As long as you're not on a food plan.
Right.
Are there any aliens at all on Excalibur?
I don't think so.
I mean, just Darina, right? That's it.
Yeah, she doesn't count. She's like a human with a birthmark.
Right. We're
Hey,
a human with dry
she's got
skin.
the yellow eyes. Come on, that's totally unique and different.
I mean, fucking Lita had cooler contacts than that.
That is true. That is true.
Um,
Do you think that was also a budgeting thing, though? Where, like, let's just keep everyone human so we don't have to spend money on makeup and prosthetics?
Let's give Dorito the. Sorry, I keep thinking Dorito. Let's give her bangs on her forehead so we don't have to do the makeup for the crackled skin.
so
Dude, I swear that there's certain episodes, the cracks are there, and some episodes they're just not.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So I have read that Mia Furlan thought that once she went through the whole cocoon thing, she thought she was going to be able to be completely human and not have to do makeup at all. And when she found out she was still going to have to be partially Minbari, she cried because she hated the makeup so much.
Yeah, I heard she had a really hard time with it. A lot of them did.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that
But
apparently, like the
It was
Narn...
basically just a hairpiece, wasn't it?
Well, but they apparently compromised on that because they wanted there to be more balance.
Right.
And she basically just broke down and couldn't do it, which is weird because apparently the Narn actually had a much worse time because they were utterly covered. But, Andrei Kosulis was, the man.
He was.
Well, a lot of people say he was actually really comfortable in all of the makeup and prosthetics. Like he was having the time of his life. People said it seemed as if he felt more confident in the makeup than.
Have you seen the pictures of him smoking as Jakar?
Yeah.
It may or may not be my phone screensaver.
But yeah, I mean, most of the aliens apparently really, for some reason, I don't know if they just picked really bad makeup or what.
Well, I know that there's also a lot of times people have like allergic reactions to the makeup, and for certain actors that could have been the case, and why they struggled so much. Because even in something like like Lord of the Rings. John Rhys Davies had horrible reactions to all the makeup to the point where his skin was basically peeling off.
Yeah, that would suck. It
Well,
reminds me there was some sci-fi show where the guy always was an alien and wore makeup and felt really really confident about acting and stuff. But then he showed up. It was Odo, wasn't it? Wasn't it Odo?
Oh, Renee
oh,
I
possibly.
can't
Auberjonois or
remember,
whatever.
but it
Yeah.
was. But he felt less confident because he didn't have that layer between him and the camera.
But what I'm saying is that maybe they just decided, screw it, we're not going to try and find actors or even extras. I mean, but the thing is they could have at least had some extras. Yes, I get that it's Earth that's, going to be poisoned by this thing, but there are really close ties. Like, I don't think Sheridan's the only one in an interspecies relationship in the entire galaxy. There are people that will have friends, colleagues. There are people that just plain old, would want to be part of, like, that kind of experimental mission had they actually fucking gone anywhere. And yet, not a single alien in the bunch, except, the wannabe. There we go. I'm just going to refer to her as the wannabe from now on. She's not really an alien. When the Star Trek, the original series aliens are more alien than you are not an alien.
Yeah, even like the OG Klingon makeup is still a lot more involved.
I
Yeah.
mean, they could have at least painted her green,
I mean, I think that would have been a little on the nose. You know what I mean? Let's be real. If you were watching a Babylon 5 television show and there was a hot green painted alien woman,
Showing
that's a
her
lawsuit. That's a lawsuit.
showing her boobs off. I mean, it could have been JMS giving the finger to, Star Trek after he claimed that they ripped him off.
I mean, didn't he do that by creating a better show than DS9 anyway? Whatever.
I don't know. I just find it so weird that in a universe that, like, JMS tried to say, and he's full of shit, but he tried to say that one of the things that made Babylon 5 so great was that all other sci-fi shows, even if they had aliens, revolved around the humans. And he said in Babylon 5, they're like the bottom of the totem pole. That is absolutely not.
What?
Hang on. We understand that that's bullshit. But if that was his goal for that galaxy, how the hell did he not have aliens on this vitally important mission?
Well, I mean, that doesn't really hold up at all, just because, like, if that's something he was saying in, like, season 1, because, yes, we're a relatively younger race, we're not as knowledgeable as a lot of the older races, but by, like, season 2 of Babylon 5, you have the Minbari going, Delenn, what makes the humans so special? And she goes on a whole speech. You have Jakar saying that, like, the humans are basically the fucking key to everything. Like, did he forget the show he wrote, or?
Well, I guess he was just saying, like, in basic assets, the humans didn't have the technology. They were at least behind the Minbari also. Maybe even a little bit the Centauri, although that, they seem to be more neck and neck there. I think that's kind of like maybe what he meant was that we're not just like walking around as the kings. But yeah, I'd say it was unfortunate to say that we were at the bottom, because there were certainly others that could have been even, because we were still on, what do you call it, the League of Non-Aligned. Well, we had alliances. We weren't in the pool that just had one vote. You know what I mean?
So the exact quote is, in every other science fiction series, humans are at the top of the food chain. In the Babylon 5 universe, they're in the bottom third. Now, first of all, that's not true, because if you look at Battlestar Galactica, humanity is on the verge of extinction. And that is the case in a lot of other science fiction shows. Falling Skies, was that what it's called? 90s television show about space invasion.
Falling Skies was like 2010-ish, no?
All right, I'm thinking of something else then. There was a 90s show that was like an alien invasion. But anyway, there are a lot of 90s and 2000 shows
Dark
that are
Skies.
Huh?
Dark Skies.
There we go. See, I knew there were skies involved there somewhere. But there were a lot of science fiction shows where humanity was definitely not the top of the food chain. In the Babylon 5 universe, they're in the bottom third. Well, that is also not true, because you have the League of Non-Aligned Worlds that make up dozens and dozens of worlds. Half of them don't even get to sit in the council at all. And humanity is one of 5 that gets to have a vote above and beyond the League. They basically get to veto anything the League wants to do or approve anything the League wants to do. So they're one of the top 5 races in the entire galaxy.
Yeah,
and they are the top 5 race that the other 4 revolve everything around.
Yeah, I don't know. It's certainly a statement. That's all I'll say about it.
That sounds like another series of streams. Things that JMS has said.
Oh man,
tear those apart. There we go.
Hey, there's more plot there
So-
than Crusade.
I try really hard not to do things that are too controversial. I was already taking a step outside my comfort zone by doing a show I don't like.
Yeah.
Doing something that will actively have people in the comments, yelling at us and calling us names, I think is probably beyond my capability.
Don't get me wrong, I like JMS, and if some of the things that he says are true, it seems like he's actually a pretty great guy. It's just a matter of if they're true or not. But anyway, back to non-existent locations. Actually, I have a question for you guys, right? So, like I was saying before, certain planets are just going to be a bust. You're not going to find anything that's going to lead you to a cure. But maybe you could learn something about the civilization that once existed on the planet. Maybe they died, they killed each other because of infighting and civil war. You could have some type of through line or message about that. But as the show goes on, maybe we start uncovering planets that are more and more ancient and civilizations that have been dead for, say, 1,000 years, give or take. Do you think it would have been interesting if they used some of these really ancient ruins to explore or uncover information about the original Shadow War, the first one?
I mean, that would certainly have fit in with it would have been indirect, but it would have fit in with the overall storyline better than half the episodes they did
Definitely
have.
would have.
Yeah, because I'm not saying we need a full every episode we need to uncover something about the original Shadow War, but if you pepper certain things in here and there, we could start to form an image in our mind of what happened to at least certain planets during that war, because we only really have the brief overview that's given to us in War Without End, right?
My understanding, and again, this is just stuff I've read that JMS, claims. He claimed that the more references there were to Babylon 5, the more upset they got about it.
I mean, that's a shame.
I don't know why you do a spin-off and then not ever want another reference. But, I mean, even I'm trying to remember the specific thing they said, but there's some point where they make a callback to somebody in Babylon 5, and apparently they hated the episode
Was it
because
was it the episode with the older techno mage because they mention Elric or whatever his name was, the techno mage played by Michael Ansara in Babylon 5 because they mentioned like, oh, he left and then he died, I believe, a couple years after they had fled the galaxy.
I don't think it's that one because I have a hard time believing they'd be okay with Lockley and not upset and not okay with that. It's something where they reference the events. Like, it's one of the few times where you actively have to have known and seen Babylon 5 to, like, understand what was going on. Like, most of their references that they make, and that may be why Babylon 5 feels so flat, they were trying to make it so that if you'd never seen Babylon 5, you'd still understand who people were and what their role was, and what the kind of character they were. But there's one reference that like is a callback that you have to have seen Babylon 5 in order to get it.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what it was, which is terrible because I just saw it this
I
afternoon.
think it was reference to the techno mage on the Babylon 5 episode.
That's
that
such
he
a
died
small
or something.
Yeah, but that's such a small reference. Like, if they truly got upset over that's ridiculous. Like, maybe he does have a point in his whole like they were sabotaging me, thing. Because it's such a small detail that if you've never seen that episode, it doesn't matter. That one line doesn't
Yeah.
make a difference to the episode. So it's a very weird thing to complain about if that's the thing that they did actually complain about.
I I don't know. It's the problem is that it is so hard to know because I'm sorry, there's no way that everything that he has complained about happened. I mean, it's way too much of a coincidence to say, oh yeah, every show I've ever had that's gone wrong, it's because somebody else sabotaged me. So it's really hard to know what's real and what's the fact that it seems like maybe he's paranoid.
Well, I mean, some of it may be understandable. It looks like JMS had a lot of struggles throughout Babylon 5, and you know, and I don't. I mean, I would imagine there probably was a lot of studio interference in Crusade that kind of threw them off. But I think just like with Babylon 5, they could have um, overcome that. I think some of the stuff was just a little bit lazy, the writing and the character development, especially. I mean, none of what we're talking about and complaining about would probably even really be a big complaint other than a complaint of love, which we also do at times, if it were that the characters were better designed and the stories, you know, were better and not
Right.
just like a weekly show thing.
But like what I don't understand is why did they even pick the show up? They knew what it was like. It's not like it was a brand new pitch and they didn't realize what they were getting into. They have to have seen Babylon 5
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
in its entirety.
Yeah.
So why even pick up the show?
Well, is it a situation where they had signed on for multiple, like, hey, we're gonna sign you on for a couple movies and a new show, and then the movies didn't do well, and by the time they got to filming the show, they were like, shit, this was a bad deal?
I don't think so, because there was a lot of question about whether or not it's like the Rangers was also supposed to happen, and it just got canceled outright. And there was a lot of question about whether or not Crusade was going to happen. And from what I can see, that is not JMS written. Their complaint was that Crusade didn't retain the core audience, not that they were trying to play too much to the core audience.
Mm-hmm.
It does say that they specifically requested more sex, violence, and action. The network allegedly desired significant changes to the content, specifically requesting more sex, violence, and action to align with a, quote, Baywatch meets wrestling in space concept.
Oh, my God.
Oh, jeez. Well, they were looking for something that I don't think would have worked.
Well, I want to know where. I want to know
one more time.
I want to know where that came from.
They wanted The Rock doing Baywatch.
I am looking for sources on that one.
That's insane.
If it's Reddit, I know it doesn't count.
Well, as crazy as it sounds, this is TNT we're talking about, right?
Oh, no, it totally sounds like something executives would want or say.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't surprise me. But
my point is that if this is TNT we're talking about, at this time, I think one of their most viewed things was pro wrestling at the time. I think they had WCW or something like that, which was a huge hit for them. So like that, it could be possible that was actually something that they said, as if they were trying to like draw their wrestling crowd into this.
Gosh.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt it at all. But I'm just saying that that's not a winning formula in sci-fi.
Just imagine Rowdy Piper as the captain.
Dude, I'd be okay with that.
I'd watch that.
I mean, listen, his performance in They Live is a lot better than Gary Cole's performance as Gideon.
Yeah, let's have a 6-minute long fist fight. Whole wrestling fight, body slams included.
All right, this is on a site called midwinter.com. Jeff Conway as Zach was supposed to be on it.
Oh man, it suddenly feels so quiet.
I guess he's the only one that didn't actually, for some reason, well, I don't know, he was probably busy dying by then. TNT officially announced the series on April 7th, 1998. JMS confirmed the series was a go on April 3rd, 1998. That's weird. It seems like you should not do that backwards. On Los Angeles' Hour 25 radio program, which he once hosted. Shooting began August 3rd, 1998. The production team enlisted the help of scientists at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory to help ensure that the series' alien worlds are consistent with the latest planetary science. That explains why they all look the same, because we only have especially in the 90s, there were only like 2 planets we could look at. See newsletter digital entertainment press release on the subject. NASA's press release has more details and includes an image of Excalibur, some behind-the-scenes machinations, which will probably be good Crusade trivia. On September 8th, 1998, Ain't It Cool ran a story describing a memo from TNT containing a list of proposed changes to Crusade, mostly focusing on greatly increasing the amounts of sex and violence. The next day, JMS posted on CompuServe and elsewhere he couldn't officially confirm or deny the report, despite the fact that apparently later he went out and told everybody that it was true. The fan community's reaction ranged from hostility to skepticism to alarm. Oh, that also explains the shower scene. Many doubted the story was for real, and TNT would only say that no such memo had been sent to the Crusade producers, but not that it didn't exist. On September 19th, however, JMS verified it had in fact existed, but that it had been withdrawn. He also announced that TNT had decided to spend some extra money on Crusade sets, and for that reason, filming ceased for a month. Later, it became clear that the show TNT wanted, a space shoot-'em-up with lots of sex and violence, wasn't the show JMS was producing, and he wasn't willing to change the flavor of the series to satisfy TNT. As the 13th episode was wrapped up filming, TNT informed Warner Brothers and Babylonian Productions they weren't interested in funding any additional episodes, and production stopped. JMS speaks about the cancellation and events leading up to it. January 30th, 1999, rumors abound that TNT has pulled the plug on Crusade production. The plug has not been pulled by TNT, which cannot pull the plug because we don't work for TNT. We work for WB. TNT is a distributor. All I can say for now is that, like Oliver Stone's project for TNT, Witchblade, we have found that TNT, known primarily for westerns, historical dramas, and wrestling, is not sci-fi friendly in terms of really getting what sci-fi is about, and it may not entirely reconcile with what their core audience expects from them, and that a new, more science fiction friendly venue is being explored. So if folks want to drop an encouraging note to, let's say, the Sci-Fi Channel, for instance, it would certainly be okay by me. But in the interim, no, we're not canceling. We're taking off next week to allow WB to work its magic, but that's about it. January 31st. How about releasing the series to video or satellite service? No, you can't do series to video. It has to be aired. Wow, that's different. Times have changed. And DTV is considered a poor man's venue for stuff that couldn't make it elsewhere. January 31st, can the show be moved to the WB network? WB network is out of the question due to the way WB is structured. It's a very long corporate story, just take my word for it. Sci-Fi Channel is the best option for us. 210, what are you doing now? Writing, working on your new comic, sleeping? All that, plus working on the show, doing post-production on the episodes already in hand. I'm actually about as busy as we are during shooting. 226, will the episodes already shot be aired? All 13 episodes produced so far will be shown. We'll be doing post-production through April 22nd. February 26th. Why would TNT change its mind when they've already had good success with Babylon 5? One element to the whole discussion is that Babylon 5 was already an entity in its own right, and taking on the 5th year entailed basically buying what was already there, as opposed to becoming involved with the creative process of influencing a new series. 226. The Sci-Fi Channel tried to arrange to pick Crusade up after TNT decided to order only 13 episodes. We took our best shot. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The Sci-Fi Channel programming guys wanted the show. They wanted it a lot. They crunched numbers for almost 2 weeks trying to make it work. But at the end of the day, the problem was that they had already allocated or spent their budget for the year and couldn't come up with a huge chunk of change necessary to get an entire season. Had this come up prior to January 1st, things would certainly have gone different. But they have their budget, we have ours, and it was already allocated. So TNT will now air the full 13 produced, and that's the end of it for now. I say for now because WB has told us to fold up and hold all sets rather than scrap them, because they believe strongly in the show and feel when the ratings come in we may well be able to pick up a second season. We'll see. Meanwhile, I'm taking the day off and deciding which number of offers from networks and studios sitting on my desk since Babylon 5 finished to pick up. I had declined to go that route so I could do Crusade and keep playing in this universe, but absent that, there's no reason not to go back to the networks and apply some of what we've been able to do to Babylon 5 and Crusade.
Wow.
Which is interesting because he then went on and proceeded to bash TNT and Warner Brothers for various things for years afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, I do have to say, if they kept telling him more sex and his solution was to have a jellyfish hump the ship, I find it less horrible now and more funny.
Well, one thing I'm confused about is he obviously didn't intend it to just be 13 episodes in a season. How did order only 13?
So apparently there was a loophole in their contract with WB. The intention was they had to take the whole season, but there was a loophole that said that they had to take 13. My guess is it probably was phrased something to the effect of, you know, at least one episode to, you know, a minimum of 13 episodes or something like that. And so they were
Okay.
like, all right, well, in that case, we only want a season that's got 13 episodes.
So he really did that to just make sure he got a foot in the door to see if ratings could change.
Well, the final season of Babylon 5 was on TNT.
Yeah.
And did well. So what was happening was they thought that they were going to bring in Babylon 5 fans and then they were going to stick around and watch wrestling afterwards. Like leave the TV on. And that wasn't happening. Babylon 5 fans were showing up, watching the show, and leaving. And the TNT fans were watching their shows, leaving while Babylon 5 was on, and coming back for wrestling. So they were losing a time slot for their regular fans, and they weren't getting any new fans. So I can kind of see their logic, though I think my answer would have been to move it to a different time slot, but...
Yeah, who knows? But yeah, it was one of those things where... No. Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, the fans of Babylon 5 weren't there because they were looking for action, really. I mean, there was a few scenes where there's a little action because they had to, you know, but it's not what we came for. It was
What's interesting is that he said that the TNT memo did exist, but the funny thing is that they never did admit it existed. It was just kind of like delay after delay after delay while they hashed things out. And apparently, I think they must have already been starting to put episodes out, because in June of 1998, he assures fans the changes in episode order, costumes, and sets would improve the show. So apparently,
they would.
Apparently, he'd already realized there were going to be changes in the episode order. Ain't It Cool News reported on how costume and set changes would be explained in the episode appearances and other deceits, which they stuck in the middle and then they moved things around it. January 99. Oh yeah, there were issues as of like 98. 99. JMS responded to a TNT cancellation rumor by announcing another hiatus and urging fans to contact Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi didn't have the money. March 6, 1999, JMS told a fairy tale at MegaCon about why Crusade productions stopped. May of 99, JMS revealed all about the cancellation of Crusade and confirmed the TNT memo and other rumors in this print magazine. He even gives an example of a reprehensible script note from TNT. At print time, JMS was at odds with Warner Brothers and the Screenwriters Guild over his desire to replace his created by credit with his pseudonym. The full article is no longer available online, and an excerpt can be found in the Crusade for Crusade frequently asked question. Why did TNT cancel Crusade? June 11th, the show was canceled before it ever aired. Rob Bowen's article for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette looks at what went wrong between TNT and JMS. And then May 2004, JMS spoke at Hawthorne High School in New Jersey, where he revealed he had learned the whole truth about Crusade's cancellation. Apparently, TNT had learned that viewers came to watch Babylon 5 on TNT and then left. Meanwhile, TNT's core viewers left when Babylon 5 came on and then returned afterwards. Since Babylon 5 wasn't helping to build TNT's core audience, they engineered a situation in which they could cancel Crusade without violating their contract with Warner Brothers. The applicable section is about halfway through the linked transcript.
Now, my memory doesn't serve very well because it's not good. But I do remember when I was catching the reruns with my VCR while I was gone during the day. I was doing it. I'm not sure if it was still on TNT or TBS, but it was like a 5 p.m. time slot or 4 p.m., something like that. And before and afterwards was this show called Due South with the Canadian Mountie,
I
and
love
another
that show.
show. And I think Lois and Clark was being advertised at the time. I think it was on the same station that they were advertising Lois and Clark. So it's like, I don't know. It's just weird that he went into it when things were so difficult there to begin with. If he had a better 13 episodes, he could have taken it a lot of places, you think, like even sci-fi, if it started there, maybe it would have gone better. But I mean, how do you deal with a studio that has that concept that, well, we don't like your shows the way they are, and we want it to be more like this? And being him, he would obviously be like, well, our audience isn't going to like that. I mean, it just seems weird. It seems weird that it ever happened in the first place.
Well, I'm finding it very strange that 5 years later he went to a high school to complain about.
Yeah, that made no like.
Was he a keynote graduation speech or something?
They were having some high school comic thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that makes a little more sense. It would be weird if he went to some high school graduation to give a speech and was just like, "This is how they sabotaged my show."
When you
Well,
graduate, you're going to stick up the middle finger to executives.
They're going to ask for sex, and you're going to give them an alien humping a ship.
There is in fact a transcript of like his whole talk at this.
Hello, fellow students.
Excuse me. It's long. Apparently there was kind of a Q&A thing. Including a chunk about him living in a commune in the 70s, apparently.
Groovy, I guess.
Yeah, that's a series right there. AMS, The Untold Story.
I'm trying to find the thing about the Crusade thing, but this is so long. I'm going to have to go back and read this now. When they said, "Do you want to do the Crusade commentaries?" Assuming, of course, we get the rest of them, I said, "Absolutely. What do you want to talk about?" "I want to say what happened." "What do you mean?" "The truth. I want to put the truth out there. We're now on our fourth something of legal affairs. I have another conference." Wow, he was still in court over this 5 years later.
Wow.
"I have another conference call scheduled on Thursday with legal affairs. We're running out of time for DVDs. If I can't get the truth out, I don't want to support the DVDs. I want the real truth to come out, including the fact I ran into some guys who worked for TNT about 2 years ago after Crusade went down, and they said, 'Did you ever hear the rest of the story?' We found out we did a research survey, a 5-year-long study of our ratings. This was just after Crusade got going. We found the audience for B5 came for B5 and then left afterwards." So this isn't just Crusade. They discovered that Babylon 5 itself hadn't done as well as they thought. And the regular TNT viewers didn't stick around for Babylon 5. Babylon 5 wasn't adding to our viewer base, so they decided to pull the plug on Crusade for that reason and use the money to buy another show. But they couldn't say that because then they'd be in breach of contract with Warner Brothers. So their job was to make it impossible so they could then impossible for us so they can then say we weren't getting the show we want, our notes aren't being dealt with, therefore we aren't responsible, we're canceling in the show. That's why the notes became so terrible. If I'd given them everything they wanted, they still would have pulled the plug. They just wanted out. Okay, so they didn't really want more sex and violence. They wanted JMS to tell them no. So they could say, he's not filling up, he's not living up to his end of the bargain, we want out.
I mean, listen, it's not like TV executives are good people. This is something that I could very much see happening. I just don't think it's something that, excuses everything wrong with the show.
Oh, absolutely not. It doesn't excuse anything wrong with the show. It only explains why it got canceled. Because he said, no, we didn't do any of the stuff they wanted us to do.
No, I know, but occasionally, if I look online, I do see some people trying to defend the show by saying, if the studio didn't interfere as much, it would have been good, if you squint real hard and look sideways and stand on your head. But I don't know. I don't understand where those people are coming from, because there's just so much wrong with it.
This is one of the reasons that I mistrust the whole thing, though. He himself says repeatedly that they interfered a lot and that's why it came out bad. But then he says, no, we didn't actually make those changes and that's why they were able to get away with canceling the show. So, which is it?
I mean, at the end of the day, I really don't think it matters. Like I said, it could play a factor, but what matters is the final product. I feel this way about the Deep Space Nine Babylon 5 debate. I don't care who stole from who. All I care about is the final product. And I love both shows. Right. I really, really do. I just like Babylon 5 more. I think it's better.
Yep.
And like I said, I like Babylon 5 more because I think it's a better show, not because, Star Trek stole from him, so let me cheer him on. It has nothing to do with that. Right. Like, there's plenty of times where studios interfere and it gets in the way of things. I'm a Twin Peaks fan. The second half of Twin Peaks Season 2 is disgustingly bad, because of studio interference. Thanks, Bob Iger. It's something that happens, but you can't just use it as an excuse. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like Twin Peaks Season 2 is good. You still have to sit here and go, studio interference or not, this is a dip in quality. And it's the same thing here, man. It's just unfortunate.
I think it matters in this case because there has been a lot of talk about redoing Babylon 5. And my response is, God no, look at how much terrible stuff he's turned out since. Without the same writers, directors, actors, it will be a nightmare. And they say, oh no, his stuff since then hasn't been bad, it's been studio interference. His stuff is actually great and would have been great if they just left him alone. So I think it's really important to say, no, it's not just studio interference. And do you really want to have yet another great show from the 90s screwed up? Because how many have they done so far? Because they decide it needs a remake, and whether the same people are involved or not, it turns out terrible. Redo Crusade. Do the Rangers. Don't redo the thing we loved.
Don't rehash something.
and recast it with lesser actors, because that's what you're going to get.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I have the Crusade box set, and I was watching some of the behind the scenes, and one of the things JMS kept stressing was the fact that he didn't want to redo Babylon 5. He wanted Crusade to be something different, to be its own thing, to be more action instead of drama, and to have an identity of its own. And now we're just at the point where it's like, yeah, let's just bring back B5 because I have nothing better to do. And I hate to put it like that, but I feel like that's where we're at with him.
because everything else has come out bad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
experiment with the other stuff because you haven't made it good yet. Don't experiment with what works. I mean, yeah, I agree with that entirely. I mean, we don't need another Babylon 5. But of course, they're going to think, okay, what worked before? We got to try and capitalize off of that again.
Prove to me that you can do another show well before you screw up the show I already like. You know, if he can remake Crusade without the same level of dickery that he claims went on, then do it. And then maybe I'll feel better about the possibility of Babylon 5 being renewed. I still don't think, I mean, theoretically, maybe you could get Peter Jurassic back, but I mean, can you imagine there ever being that same kind of relationship between?
No, not at all, dude. The way certain actors played off each other in B5 was nothing short of magic, man. You know, Jakar and Londo is phenomenal. And like the beautiful thing about B5 is that they had top tier actors like those guys that could absolutely kill it. But one of the other great things was that the casting itself was great. Even if a character was being played by an actor who wasn't phenomenal, they still fit the role perfectly. Like, I don't think anyone on planet Earth is going to argue that Jerry Doyle is the greatest actor to ever live. But he is Garibaldi.
Right.
No, like, to me, no one else can play Garibaldi. I feel the same way about Claudia Christian. She's not a great actor, but she's not a bad actress by any means. But she is Ivanova. She's perfect. I can't see anyone else in that role.
Yeah.
I can't look at a lot of actors today and try to plug them into the B5 cast and be like, oh, like this guy would kill it as Sinclair or anything like that. I mean, I don't know if you guys have any ideas, but I really don't.
No, and don't. Yeah, I mean, there's no point in going back. That was a good story. Just do a different generation, meaning like a different generation of characters, you know, and do something in maybe the same universe if you have to, or God forbid, new universe, new show. Why not?
I mean, if you did want to do something in the B5 universe that was new, and you wanted to make it kind of like a legacy generational thing, you have David Sheridan. Like, he's a character that exists.
Yep.
Do something with him. Go into the future where he's like a 40-year-old captain himself, and, you know, he gets a distress signal and they get there, and what is, you know, the distress signal reads Babylon, and like, there's your starting off point. Something.
Or make
you
him
do anything.
Or make him something entirely different so that people aren't making the same comparison all the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, on that note, it is 9:01 and my alarms are going off reminding me that I need to milk and take my old lady meds. I was really hoping to share Hopper the House Bunny's new Instagram as my sign out, except apparently Instagram has suddenly decided that they're going to send me a notification that I either have to sign something agreeing to my data being collected, or I have to start paying them $4 a month.
Oh, wow.
What?
Yeah. I don't know where that came from, but
Okay.
no notification or anything. So if anybody's on Instagram, be aware.
Yeah, it'll be one of those click-through agreements that, you know, people don't read.
Yeah.
It's very hard not to read because they've got it in a whole bunch of like pop-ups, and it's hard to find the correct spot to click.
Mm.
But I am not comfortable with signing over my information or paying them $4 a month, considering they already make a ton of ad money.
Mm-hmm.
What's very strange is that they don't appear to be doing it on my Eclectic Goat profile. It's only the Hopper profile.
Is that newer?
Strange.
I guess it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I just started it like yesterday.
So maybe other accounts are grandfathered in, and this is a new thing. All new accounts
Well,
going.
but then why
forward.
didn't they ask me for it when I first made the account? Like, that seems really shitty to like wait 24 hours until I put out all sorts of links telling people, and then be like, oops, hey, now that you've told everyone you've got this account, now you have to make this choice. Seems kind of bullshit.
Yeah. Well, there's no shortage of that.
Though, interestingly, I can so far can still access it on my phone, no problem. It just means I'll have to do like more editing on my phone, which sucks because I just keep trying to get rid of my phone. Ah, fun and games. Anyway, on that note, Jacob, what's going on?
Yeah, tomorrow night, X-Files.
Woohoo.
Then,
What number are you on? I forget.
let me look that up while I tell you all the rest. I'll be on Roman of the Empire's show, and it'll be a free range. Just cover some topics of the week. I believe I'll be on with the potato, and I think we're going over Lethal Weapon. And then I'll be here next week.
All right. Yes, so we'll be doing 4 out of 4. We're going to cover lighting and the terrible, terrible music.
Yes.
Probably the terrible, terrible startup, since they kind of go hand in hand. Did you get numbers? Did I miss it?
No, I'm still trying to pull that up. It's kind of slow. No, not that.
I mean, it feels so much less guilty about the fact that I don't remember what number you're on.
I am on season 3, episode 11 and 12.
Nice.
11 Revelations and 12 War of the Kyprophages.
So are you doing like the whole 11 seasons, or are you just going to quit when it starts getting crap?
I don't know. I may keep going. It's kind of become a channel thing. So
Such a downturn from like season 5 on.
yes.
All right, Wayfarer. Hello. Uh-oh. Do we have sound issues? He's not muted this time. All right, Eraser, I guess you're up.
All right. Well, I don't.
Uh-oh.
Oh wow.
We gone.
Well, anyway, you can find Lawrence over at the Wayfarer Project. Check him out. They got a good Sunday show. I believe they've been doing shows on Wednesday as well, and an occasional Silmarillion stream whenever they could fit it in. So check that out. The link's there. As for me, I've got nothing going on. I'll be back here next week for the last installment of this, and then I could forget Crusade ever existed. I really can. I could just think about
And then
Babylon
we'll
5.
dive into Babylon 5.
Yes, because like I want to put the Crusade box set on the shelf and never think about it again.
I have a very important question for you, though. Have you yet made it through Call to Arms without falling asleep?
Once, after about 5 or 6 attempts, yeah.
Okay, because last I knew you still hadn't made it through. You kept falling asleep. And that's got the... See, that is one of the other things that makes me think that he had the original writers, original directors, original cast, it still sucked.
Yeah.
But
By the way, I'm
so
back. I don't know if you noticed, but I was
I,
dropped off for a bit.
I did notice, which is why Eraser plugged your channel for you.
Oh, great. You're awesome, Eraserhead.
We weren't sure if you were going to be able to make it back, so you
I
probably.
think the router went down and back up or something like that, but yeah.
I hope I
Yeah.
got the days right.
Oh, yeah. Wednesdays are our medieval night and fantasy. So that's Excalibur. And then Sunday night's Bab 5. We're doing, what is it? Hunter Prey. And we're going to try to do in the same night, There All the Horror Lies. You know, the first one's about the doctor that knows things about the vice president, now President Clark. And then the other one is about where Sheridan almost gets framed for the murder of a Mimbari.
Sweet, man. Awesome. Do you know
Prime.
when your next Silmarillion stream is? Because I know those are a little more up in the
Well,
air.
well, Anna, she's in Japan, and you know, we just got to wait for a Monday that she can do it again,
Gotcha. All
which
right.
will be soon, but it's week by week because she's very busy in an archaeological research lab over there.
Wow. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, she's the type of people that really knows her Tolkien.
I feel like there should be a pun there too if I was, awake.
Yeah, unfortunately, I guess we've been crusading for so long. We're just, I don't know, we're a little tired. But it's been fun talking about this. I just can't believe there's a box set for Crusade.
Well,
Oh, I also
I
have it. It's
yeah,
here.
I
Yeah.
bought the one that came with all the seasons of B5, all of the movies,
Oh, okay.
and Crusade.
Oh no,
but it's not called the Crusade box set.
Oh no.
Oh
Okay,
no,
it's a
there
box set
is
with Crusade.
no. There is a Crusade box set because I do own that.
Oh gosh.
When I did my very first underappreciated 90s video, I thought, hey, I only got to see like one episode of this, and a lot of this video is turning out to be shows that were spin-offs of other shows. I should take a look at this and like add it to my underrated videos or underrated shows video. And then I watched 2 episodes and went, oh no, this wasn't underrated. This is just fucking awful.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, dude.
so yeah, it did not make the cut.
You know what? I started checking out Lex finally.
You just started checking that out. I
That's
did
so
that video
weird.
like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
It is so weird. So weird.
Yeah, I only checked out the first episode, but I was into it. It's very clearly like really low budget, but it's interesting, man.
And the dragonfly slash phallic ship too.
Yeah. So there is one very significant difference between Eraserhead and I that I suspect will make Lex hit much better for him than it did for me. And I bet everyone can guess what it is.
He's a guy.
No. No, weirdly enough, I think most of the television and movies and everything else I like tend to be more guy-coded just because rom-coms are totally not my thing. Eraserhead smokes a lot of weed.
Ah,
Allegedly.
allegedly.
Dude, we can hear the lighter going off.
It's a prop. It's a prop.
It could be tobacco.
Not that many times.
There's a wind blowing it out.
Yeah, like those fireworks last week. Those were just more props. I set those up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I always say that Lex is one of those shows that either you need to be high or it will make you feel like you already are.
Ugh. Yeah. Yeah.
I understand. I quit watching after the first couple seasons because I understand they changed companies and like the whole show started taking itself way too seriously. And I was like, yeah, I don't want any part of that. So
like half the time that I would watch Adventure Time, I had panic attacks.
Yeah, I prefer the far better Far Escape.
I did.
It came out in the same time.
I
I
cannot get
think.
through. I cannot get through Farscape.
Really?
Really.
Yeah, do not like Farscape.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I do think it kind of tails off towards the end, but first
Yeah.
couple seasons I think are
I-
really solid.
I've never even made it through the second season.
Really?
Yeah, and I've
Goodness.
tried. I just can't. But Lex is described as if someone gave a team half the budget of Farscape to make the same show, and then they had spent 90% of it on drugs.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember budgeting a television show.
It's because of the 90% spent on drugs. All right, we are way over on time. So I am the Eclectic Goat. Hopper the House Bunny now has a new Instagram. Now I'm wondering whether or not she's going to get to keep it, though, because apparently the reason for this is that Instagram got busted for really massive data stuff. And so their answer, instead of going, oops, we shouldn't have done that, was to go, well, if you didn't want us to do that, then you should have paid us.
Well, if it's all about a bunny, hopefully I don't know. It depends on what they take. I don't know. What data are they going to take if it's,
Well, but see, this is the thing. Once again, they're only doing the Hopper the House Bunny thing, which so first of all, it depends on what it is they're tracking, because it's not just what you're posting. The app tracks your activity, posts you view, ads you click, and how long you linger on specific comment to curate your feed and serve targeted ads. It also tracks your precise whereabouts via your device's GPS and IP address. So yeah, they're worse than most, but
yeah.
But anyway, on that cheerful note, we will be back next Monday at some point this week. I'd like to say tomorrow, but I'm way behind on a bunch of stuff, so maybe not tomorrow. Sometime this week, I am going to be doing a very long Diablo stream. Because A, I need too much demon killing, and B, I want to thank everybody who's been helping out. So, once again, if anybody's got a couple of bucks of, change in their couch cushions, I could certainly use the help, and it is always appreciated. Same for well wishings and moral support. So, thank you very much to my panel, and thank you very much to the chat for being here. Hope everybody had a great time. Sorry Isn't it weird that when we're tired, we're more likely to run over?
We're tired.
Yes.
But everybody have a great night. I think I'm actually going to skip the outro tonight, considering that we are already over, and just say goodnight and happy headbutting.
Good night.
All right, take care.